And I can remember the point where I kind of got a direct download. I don't know if you've ever gotten one of those, but God and I have conversations sometimes, and we have arguments sometimes. And I was sitting at my computer inside, and I was reading that book. I had just gotten to the end of it, and Dr. Stewart said, well, this is how you do an Oils of Ancient Scripture class. And the Lord said, you need to do a class. And I said, oh no, not me. I am not doing a class. I am not one of those people. I'm not going to do network marketing. I don't want to do a class. And he said to me, look. And he said to me, look, it's right here in the book, How to Do an Oils of Ancient Scripture class. I'm like, yes, it is. So we had this argument for probably about a week. And finally, I said, okay, I'll do a class. So I typed out everything in the book. If he said, turn to chapter 7 and talk about sesquiterpenes, I typed out the whole thing. If he said, talk about, Matthew or Mark or Exodus or whatever, I just typed it all out because I didn't want to mess anything up. And when the time came, I put a note on my homeschool board and just said, hey, I'm doing this class. It's kind of a historical thing about the oils of the Bible. If you want to come, RSVP me. I'd love to share this with you. 20 people showed up in my living room that morning. 20 people. Most of them I did not know. And so I was a little nervous. I was reading my piece of paper, kind of shaking a little bit, but I'd read it and then I'd look up and smile and nod at people. And I'd go back to reading my little piece of paper. And I wouldn't even tell them how to sign up. I didn't have an enrollment form in there. I didn't have anything, I didn't think, maybe with my number on it. But someone figured out how to enroll. They went home that night and they actually enrolled online. That was pretty exciting for me. I'm like, wow, that's kind of interesting. And over time, with some follow-up, 19 out of those 20 people have enrolled with Young Living. And most of them are still with us today. And one of your probably favorite people and beloveds is Britta Dimler and Kirk Dimler, who were at that class. And we always talk about, Britta sat through that class like this. She kind of had this scowl on her face and she had her arms crossed and she left early. So I thought I'd really ticked her off. I knew she was in the medical field. I didn't know what she did. And I thought, oh my gosh, this lady probably thinks I'm nuts. I don't know. We anointed Kirk. He was the first one I ever anointed. and I followed up with them. So I had wanted to give everybody a little sample of peppermint at my class. And I forgot to do that because I was so nervous. So after the class, the people that lived close to me, I just called them up and said, hey, can I drop off this peppermint with this little brochure? And Kirk said yes. So I drove through town, dropped off the peppermint, talked to Kirk a little bit, and would you know it, that one sample of peppermint, through following up with him, was what got him results. He got almost immediate results, and that is one of the reasons why they enrolled, because he got such fabulous and such quick results from that tiny little peppermint. It wasn't even a full bottle. It was maybe 10 or 12 drops. And of course now Britta is a diamond, going crown diamond, and you know that rest of that story. So, and now, good friends as well. And I just want to encourage you that for those of you that have family members that are far, far away and you think, well, I can't get them to a class. My sister, I'd never been to a class when I enrolled. I'd never seen a kit. She just called me, and it was her excitement and enthusiasm that got me to say, okay, I'll get a kit. I'll try this out. And so it'll be your excitement and your enthusiasm and your consistency. She shared with me, we had a lot of conversations before I enrolled. She kept telling me little stories of how this was working and how that was working. And it got me a little bit more and more excited each time that I was on the phone with her. So for those of you that have people out of town, just realize the phone is a great thing, right? Just talking to people and telling them your stories is wonderful. Now, I did this probably just super part-time. So once I did start having classes, I still didn't talk about the business, but I was kind of starting to earn a few $100s, and that was exciting. And I still didn't talk anything business. I did figure out how to put enrollment forms in my little packet that I gave people, but I was doing maybe 1 or 2 classes a month, okay? So I had a health food co-op. Sometimes I'd have a health food class. Sometimes I'd have an oils class. And I was just doing this very, very part-time. I did it very, very part-time for about 4 years. And I helped some other people do classes, but I really wasn't focused on it. So at the end of 4 years, or 4 or 5 years, my life just kind of blew up. I ended up, over a period of about a year and a half, I became a single mom. I have 4 kids. They're almost 17, 15, 13, and 9. But at the time, my youngest was 2.5. And I didn't know where I was going to live. I was calling friends to see if I could live in their basement. I didn't know if I'd get to keep the house that I'm living in. And the one consistent thing was my Young Living check. Now, I had checked out of life. I wasn't talking to anybody on the phone. I wasn't enrolling people. I wasn't talking to anybody. After my life blew up, I went down in this dark, deep hole, and I didn't even know what to tell people. So I didn't say anything. And I canceled my health food co-op. I turned it over to somebody else. And you could just look at me and I would start crying. So I wasn't actually in a position to share at that point, but I had been sharing for 4 years. And because of that, my checks were about $800 to $1,200 during that time when everything was really topsy-turvy. And so even though I didn't have a lot of finances, I was not totally destitute. Because I had this solid Young Living check, I knew that at least I could feed my kids somehow. At least I could buy groceries and put them on and put them on the table. And that was so comforting. And that's one of the beautiful things about network marketing. When I was not able to do classes, just emotionally, there were other people out there still loving their oils and still doing classes. Britta was doing classes and Bobby was doing classes. Skyla hadn't joined us in the business yet, so Skyla wasn't even doing classes at the time. But I had some people out there that were still sharing and still loving and still ordering their oils, and I was getting a tiny percentage of it. So that is what successful people do. They take 1% of 100 people's efforts instead of trying to get 100% of their own efforts. And many people say, well, how come my business isn't growing or I'm stuck? And I think sometimes it's because it's all their efforts. They're doing it all. They're trying to do it all by themselves. And we can't do this all. You know, we have probably in our team 18,000 people. I don't know 18,000 people. But somebody knew somebody who knew somebody. So it was my job just to teach people how easy this is to do and help them get started doing that and encourage them and inspire them along that way. So that was 4.5 years into Young Living. And then there was a day that my sister called me, my dear sweet sister, and she said, I think you should go to this training up in Michigan. It's Shannon Hudson. Now remember, I'm a single mom. I don't have a lot of money, but my checks, maybe this was about a year later, so my checks had increasingly got a little bit more. And Britta and I flew up to Michigan, went to Shannon Hudson's training, and one of the things that kept me from sharing network marketing part, the money part, was I'd been in a network marketing company before that was just all about the money, and it just felt a little sleazy to me. It didn't feel genuine or authentic. And when Shannon Hudson started talking about the business and, you know, we have this thing that can change people's lives and how dare us not share it with people. Both Britta and I walked away from that weekend with Shannon Hudson and we said, okay, we're going to do this. It's like, we're going to do this for real. And we're going to teach about the network marketing side. We're going to have business meetings and we're going to share this money part of Young Living. Because folks, there's so many people out there that $200 or $300 a month would be huge for them. And I'm going to give you 2 stories to just prove that $200 or $300 can be huge for people. And you know what? For 4 years, I was losing people out of my Young Living organization because I wasn't sharing how they could get their products paid for. And they wanted to buy Ningxia every month, and they wanted to get the supplements and be on Super B and replace their oils every month, but they couldn't afford it. They really couldn't afford it. And I wasn't sharing how I was making money. How rude of me, right? I wasn't sharing that. And so as we came back and we actually began to share, we had a business meeting. We had 6 people in my home, I think 6 to 8 people. And 2 of those people are diamonds today. So I told them at that meeting, and you can do this at your meetings too. I said, you know what? There may be 6 of us here today, but I guarantee you a year from now, we're going to have 100 people in the room. And we began to paint the picture of what this was going to look like, because we got serious and we were taking people with us. Like, it didn't matter if they wanted to come with us or not. I mean, we wanted them to, but we were going to do it with or without them. And people want to be around people who are confident. They want to be around people who know where they're going and can help them get to a better place. So that's what we began trying to do, is helping people get to a better place. Now, about that same time that Britta and I decided to get serious, we started to get a little bit frustrated because there were a few people that were joining us, and yet some people were just not getting it, right? And we still feel like we were doing this all by ourselves. And we were saying, oh man, I just wish people would get it, or why can't I get any classes going, or why aren't people RSVPing? Or we were complaining and whining and speaking those things out of our mouth that we didn't really want to happen and keep happening, but we were just telling what was. And we got exposed to a set of CDs called Conscious Language, which totally transformed us. So we started listening to these Conscious Language CDs by Marcella Von Harding and Robert Tennyson Stevenson. And we learned that, oh my goodness, what we're speaking out of our mouth, we're actually making happen. Like, that's continuing to propel what we don't want to happen. We learned all kinds of things, and I encourage you to get that set of CDs, because I'm not going to do a whole training on that tonight, and they do it much better than I. We did learn how to change words like I need or I want into I choose, because needs and wants means we don't have it yet. And so they challenged us to begin upgrading our speech. So this is what Britta and I would do on the way home from her work. She worked really late at night, and I stay up late at night, so she would call me, and we would start talking about our business, and we'd be like, oh my gosh, our calendar is so full, I can't even fit any more classes in it, you know? And we'd open up our calendar, and there's nothing there, or not much. But we'd laugh and we'd joke, and we'd be like, yeah, so many people are calling me, I can't even fit everybody in my schedule, I'm just so busy. And we started speaking those things out of our mouth that we wanted to happen. And I know some people will be like, oh, but that's like lying. That's like lying to yourself. How can you do that? And I can't explain it all to you today, but there is a power in speaking that which is not yet as though it were. So there's actually scripture that says God speaks that which is not as though it were. And I'm made in God's image. So I have his creative ability within me. I'm my daddy's child. So when I speak those things out that are not yet as though they were, I actually create something. So it has to do with frequency. It has to do with quantum physics. It's really pretty fascinating. And it's the way God made this planet. It's not any woo-hooey, new agey stuff. It's just the way God made this planet. So I do encourage you to either go to our YouTube channel and listen to the full thing on conscious language, or get the Marcella Von Harding, Robert Tennyson Stevenson CDs. Julie has some, so if you need them right away, Julie can get those to you. And I noticed it even changed how I dealt with my children. So I would be walking around the house saying, I need you kids to pick this up, and I need you to go do that, and I need you to go do that. And I recognized that that was uncomfortable for me to say it, made me kind of feel grumpy, and it was uncomfortable for them to hear it. So instead, I just started saying, would you please go pick that up for me? And the total response changed from them. Instead of huffy, grumpy, it became, sure, Mom, I'll go do that. It was wild. So there are many things that we don't even realize that we're doing. Sometimes you'll hear people complaining, oh, I'm stuck and I can't get further. Cancel clear, that's not me. So people will say they're stuck and they can't get people to move. So we find ourselves whining and complaining and speaking out things that are just not healthy. We're actually destroying our business with our mouth instead of envisioning what could be happening. Now, excuse me, I'm taking a little bit of beef bone broth here. It's nice and warm. So I was just on the phone call with somebody at the cross line today and was just encouraging her that she has the power to create the vision for her team of what can happen. Because she was upset because there was only 4 people coming to this class and she wanted to know how to promote it better. So we certainly had some ideas for her. And in the meantime, even if it's only 4 people that showed up to her class, right, then she could paint the vision for those 4 people of what was going to happen the next time. I know there's only 4 of us here today, But just imagine what would happen a year from now if all of us just shared with 4 people and we started changing people's lives. Next time we meet together, we'll have 40 people a year from now in this room. Maybe we'll have 100 people in this room, and that'll be 100 changed lives. So she got so excited about this concept, and I can't wait to hear how her class goes. It's tomorrow night. So if you guys want to pray for somebody, you can pray for her. I'm sure it's going to go fabulous. So conscious language was a huge, huge part of our story. We began teaching this to other people. So now we have friends that will catch us. I used to have a gal that worked for me. Her name is Amber. And sometimes I would say, oh, I need to get this done and I need to get that done. She'd say, you mean you choose to get that done? I'm like, yes, I choose to get that done. I know there was a time when I'd have bills coming in and I would think, oh, I can't afford this and I can't afford that. Or my kids would come to me wanting something and I didn't feel like I could afford it at the time. And instead of saying, we can't afford that, kids, I'd say, you know what? We choose to spend our money on groceries this month. And that gave me a real sense of, first of all, I didn't feel bad that we couldn't afford it. And secondly, it made me feel really good that I was being wise and smart with my money rather than spending it on something that maybe was superfluous that my kids didn't really need. Rather than beating myself up for, oh, I can't supply my kids' every wants and needs. So this can work in every area of your life. What you learn with conscious language will not only be beneficial for you in Young Living or whatever business that you're in, but it will be beneficial for you in your family, in your relationships. You will be amazed by the difference and the change in your life as you start to upgrade your speech. Kind of like we have to upgrade our computer, right? Every computer, we need to get an update every so often. And that's what conscious language is like. It's like updating our operating system in here so that we can get better output out here. And there's also a video that kind of goes over some of the conscious language stuff in the, what group is that? The the Essential Oil Club video, the Essential Oil Club group. And it's called Taming the Emotional Beast. And it goes over a lot of this conscious language stuff as well. Okay, I'm just going to check my time here because I can't see it when I'm on full screen. I want to make sure how I'm doing and leave enough time for questions. So I have to say that what has happened in the last 5 years with our family has been unbelievable. And part of my journey, of course, was faith, because when I became a single mom, I prayed, and you can consider it God or, universal consciousness or whatever you want to, but I prayed to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I said to him, now that I'm a single mom, you are my husband, and I would love to know what it feels like to just be totally taken care of financially. I grew up poor. I had the mentality of poor. And even though my girls' father was a business owner, we were not in any way, rich or had a lot of money. We were just business. We had business, but we just scraped by okay. He was a fine provider, but there was nothing extra more. And so I just look back at that prayer and I think God has done such an amazing thing in our family. And now the things that we can do to support other families are just blow me away. They just blow me away. So even though some of you may think, well, you know what, money's not a big deal for me. So let me ask you a question. If you wanted to buy somebody a car tomorrow, maybe a single mom that you know, or somebody that's struggling in your church, could you do it? If you wanted to support a missionary for an entire year and just pay for all of their expenses out in the field, could you do it? If somebody needed surgery, and you know what I'm saying? So it's not just about us and earning for our own benefit and just to pay rent and pay utilities and buy a boat and whatever. That's not what this is about. I just talked to somebody that's very close to me today who's in a lot of pain, and I haven't talked to them in a while, so I really didn't know what was going on with them. And we were just talking about options to get them out of pain. They're on a lot of medications and just struggling with that way. So we talked about maybe some massage therapists, and it ended up she really wanted to go to a chiropractor that she knows and be seen like a couple of times a week until these issues are handled. and she's far away from me. She's not close. And I just think, how incredible is it that I can just say, go make the appointment. I'm going to contact the chiropractor and I will take care of it. Whatever it is that you need for us to get you out of pain, I've got this. Like, that doesn't happen every day. And I'm just so incredibly grateful that, all of you have caught this vision, because it wasn't just me. I didn't build this. It was everybody all together in one big team. And that's what I love about network marketing, is that we're in business for ourselves, but we're not in business by ourselves. I have this great, incredible team of people that are out there every day sharing this passion and sharing this mission. And now it's my mission to help them get to the place where they can not only support themselves and their family and have everything that they need and some of what they want, but that they have enough to give out of their increase, that they can just pull out $2,000 if they need to and hand it to somebody for some really important need. So that's part of what I enjoy doing now, because we have everything we need, and we're now doing everything that we can to help everybody else do that. So that's why we're still doing classes. You see me on our own Facebook page. I still do classes. I still go to people's houses. I still do scans at my house for people. I still sit down one-on-one with people and share oils with them. Why am I still doing this when I don't have to? Because I love it, and because I want to help see you all be successful and be to that place as well. So a couple quick things before we open up for questions. One, I want to remind you that if you are in the local area, in the Des Moines area, there's a rally coming up this weekend. It is going to be incredible. I'm just looking at some of the things that are going to be released, and it's going to be very exciting. So I'm sure you're upline, or you can probably find the link to that and how to register for that rally. Sarah Harnish is coming to Chillicothe, which is just south of us, on the 16th, which I believe is Monday night. So be sure to get your tickets for that. She has written a book, and my sister Melody, I think I saw on here. Melody, are you still on here? Has read the Sarah Harnish book and absolutely loves it. It has ignited her and ignited her team. So Sarah Harnish will light your fire. She is so passionate and so articulate. So whoever you bring there is going to be very, very blessed for that evening. And I was telling Skyla, I meant to bring out my little water bottle. But if you come to any of our rallies, and if you don't, we can post a link to it. We actually even have a water bottle that we have printed just positive motivational words on it. It's about $20, I think, but it's a glass water bottle that's tall and skinny like this, and it's really beautiful. This is a great time at the holiday time to have some kind of unique gifts and that kind of thing. So if you don't know, look up the work of Dr. Emoto, and positive words on water bottles actually imprints the water and makes it into a crystalline structure. So that kind of water is healthier for us to drink. It's got all kinds of oil names on it, like abundance and live your passion and light the fire, and all kinds of oils on it too. It's very beautiful, hand etched. It's wonderful. So I'll post that below as well. And I just want to encourage you that if there's, as we get going in this business, and I'm imagining some of you, if you're on this page, if you're on this Zoom, you're probably already doing some kind of sharing. And there's 4 levels of leadership that happen with people. One of them is we're just recruiting. And that's usually what we do in the beginning. We're just recruiting people, talking to people, sharing with new people all of the time. And then once we get a few new people and we've got some people that want to share themselves, we go into this management mode where we're managing our recruiters, and we're doing classes for them, which is wonderful. And we're helping them. And sometimes our own personal recruiting we back off on a little bit. And then once our recruits get a few people under them, then we become a supervisor of the managers of the recruits, and we back off on our personal enrolling even more. And then at some point, and we all fall into all 4 of these categories, we become the director, and we're directing the supervisors of the managers of the recruiters. And then not much recruiting is getting done. So I want to encourage you that if you feel that you're in that stuck place, to go back to what I call phase 1. And phase 1 is recruiting, your own personal contacts, your own personal recruits, doing classes for people that are your own, you have personal relationships with, and be excited about that, because I tell you what, when you connect with the new people and they try peppermint for the first time, it is so exciting, and it will re-energize you because they're energized and they're excited. So that personal recruiting is something that we have to continue and continue and continue to do, no matter what level that we reach. And our people will do what they see us do. So a lot of times people won't do what you tell them. They will do what they see. Just like with our kids, right? They pick up our more is caught than taught. So whatever they see us doing, if we're just on Facebook all day doing a bunch of posts, well, that's what our people are going to do. That's going to be how they think we do the business. If we show them, when we take pictures of our classes and we talk about our new people that we've talked about, and we're modeling for them how you really build this business, which is small little gatherings in homes with friends, building relationship. And if we model that for them on our Facebook pages and wherever else that we talk to them, then that's what they're going to do. And so the speed of the leader determines the speed of the team. The team will always go a bit slower than the leader, but they will certainly not go faster than the leader generally. So if you feel like, oh, I'm just not at that place, then maybe something to consider would be going through your own list of people that you have not talked to about oils yet, or thinking about, where could I begin to meet new people that I can begin to have those little basic classes in my home again, like I did in the beginning, and build those relationships and help other people find a healthier life and healthier finances. And then the other thing I want to encourage really quick is one of the things I watch, if a leader calls me and they say, hey, I'm stuck, one of the things I do is I go and I see what their personal orders have been over the last couple of years. And if they're silver or gold or above, and they're just ordering $102, just enough to get their check, then I know that they're not sold yet on the Young Living lifestyle. And in order for us to have true enthusiasm, we have to be sold on what we're doing. We have to be buying from our own store. So I encourage them to increase their own personal purchases. It doesn't matter to me, right? Because I have tons of people buying. But to them, it's going to matter, because they could be using the shampoo, the toothpaste, the Ningxia Red. And if they're a family of 4 and their order is 100, I go, you know what? I know you're not drinking Ningxia. Well, how do you know? I know because your order is $100 a month. And at that silver or gold level, they can afford that. So if they're not doing that, I know, you know what? Maybe how much do we really believe in this Young Living lifestyle? You don't even want to know what my orders are. And as soon as I could afford to get that more products and try more things, I did. I just reinvested. I didn't expect to take that check and like spend it all on my bills right away. I knew that I had to invest back in my business. I had to take that $300 and let it pay for my next product. So I always encourage them to be at that top tier if they can. So number 1, it's the most economical. Number 2, they get all of those free products. And number 3, they're trying stuff that now they're going to have a story about. And they will be able to get re-energized and re-excited about just living the whole Young Living lifestyle. So if there's stuff that you haven't tried yet, maybe consider, okay, well, maybe my order is 150, but maybe I'm spending 50 at the grocery store on these other things that I could be transferring over and spending from my own store, from my own Young Living. Okay, so that's all. The short version of the story is a little bit about conscious language, and then I would love to take your questions. What questions do you have?
Yeah, so I think all you need to do then is unmute yourself and ask Sonya your question, and then remute yourself, please, so we can enjoy her answer. Who's got a question? That was great, Sonya. That was so much beautiful, beautiful information. So encouraging. You're in my head. That's awesome.
I wish I could show you guys if you're in town sometime by my house, you got to stop over and see this gazebo. It is so cute. I wish you guys could see this whole thing. It is just, you
don't look too cold.
What's that?
You don't look very cold. You look very comfortable today.
I got a heater here. The curtains all the way around are blocking me, and I can pull these little curtains back. It's so cute. And they each go back over here in a little tie back thing. Let me see if I can turn it. So I can pull these back. And
that's great.
Right? On each of these. So there's 8 of these little things. Anyway, I'm just saying. My
That's
house is still unfinished, but I do have a gazebo now with curtains.
priorities.
Priorities, right? And because my house is crazy with 4 children, and I have another friend and her mom living with me, that my house, like inside, I am not, there's no way I can do this inside. There's too much
Okay.
going on.
Is there anyone who has a question?
Okay.
I don't have a question, Sonia, but I wanted to say that I do have one of those glasses that you were talking about.
Oh,
with the
yeah.
letter. I can show that to the group if you want me to. I'll turn my camera on so they can see it.
Yeah, let me go to the
That'd
gallery
be
so
great.
I can see you.
No, I don't have my camera turned on, but because I was out running around right before this, and I'm not presentable right now. But I will show the glass to everybody. Hold on just a second.
Okay. So, you know, we had a thing called, oh, there it is. And you can't really see the etching really well, but it's a beautiful white etching on that bottle.
Let me see if I can put a background to it. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah. So it's kind of tall and skinny. It's got a screw top lid, and it's really beautiful etching there.
Yeah, I didn't bring the lid in, but
you know, it's funny. We used to do a Vibrant Health event, and we would have bottles that say Vibrant Health on them for the event, right? And one year we included them in everybody's bag, and people go, you know what? I feel so good drinking this water. I don't know why. And I'm like, hello, it's got Vibrant Health written all over it. No wonder you're feeling so good, right? Because you're experiencing Vibrant Health.
That's right.
So that's fun. So does anybody have like a business building question, something you're stuck with, or, you know, you can't figure out how to do something, how to invite, how to hold a class, you need a resource of some kind? I'm the queen of getting people resources.
You said that you will have conscious language CDs available on Saturday. So maybe if I send a little note to Julie, she could set those there for me.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll have the conscious language CDs. And you know what we started doing in the beginning is we actually you can get these CDs pretty inexpensively. And so we were actually giving out conscious language CDs. I'm trying to get this back. And Jim Rohn CDs, which you can get for, you know, if you get them in a big bulk, you can get them for like $1.50. And we were giving those out to everybody just because we felt like where we had been in the poverty mindset and the employee mindset, we really needed a mindset change is what we needed. We didn't necessarily need a lot more skills in the beginning because we knew how to talk to people and we knew how to communicate well enough. We can always get better, but well enough. But we all needed a mindset shift. And so those are two of the resources that we just, like anybody that said they wanted to build, we would have them listen to Jim Rohn and we'd have them listen to the conscious language. And there is a conscious language book out there too. So Robert Tennyson Stevenson has written a book. So if you want to know, well, how do I change this thought? What do I change it to? How do I change that perception in my mind? He's got a list of those kinds of things in there, which are really powerful. And I know sometimes people say, well, Sonia, I know what thoughts are going through my head, but I don't know how to grab a hold of them and change them. And so I would encourage you, one of my favorite new videos is by a gal named Byron, B-Y-R-O-N, Katie, K-A-T-I-E. And if you go to Vimeo and you look up Byron Katie, and the title of the video is Turn It Around, I'm just saying have some tissues with you, okay? This is a powerful, powerful woman she's got to be in her 70s. She's sweet, but she doesn't let you get away with anything. And she has really a 5-step process of how to take a thought and turn it around. How to question that thought, see if it's true, talk to yourself about how you feel when you think that thought, and who would you be without that thought, and she has you turned around. It's very, very powerful. I think her website is thework.com, so you can print out the worksheets that she uses to grab a hold of those thoughts, because there's some things that we're thinking sometimes that just keep us stuck. Even me still now. There was a time, I want to say right before I found Byron Katie, it was about 4 months ago, just some new stuff was happening in my life, and I was just crying for about 3 weeks. I was just crying. I could not be with the girls and their dad at recitals and things like that. I'm just weeping all the time. And I knew it was my thoughts, and I even knew which thoughts it was, because, I've done this for so long. So I'm like, I know which thoughts it is, but I couldn't flip it for whatever reason. And so I started listening to Byron Katie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is powerful stuff. Even to examine stuff that maybe happened to us way back when we were a child, somebody that said something to us, and we may have believed it for 20 or 30 years. It stayed in here in our subconscious, and they told us we were, too fat, too tall, too thin, too ugly, too pretty. We're too, we're the wrong race, we're the wrong color, we're the wrong socioeconomic status, we're the wrong religion, whatever it is. And that has stuck with us as an excuse as to why we cannot be successful. And so she will help you go back to those places and identify those thoughts, and then really begin to examine them and be able to turn them around so that they're not distressing anymore, and they're not holding you back from being all that you can be. Because really our goal on this planet is more than just living and eating and paying for our house and getting curtains in your gazebo or whatever it happens to be. Our goal on this planet is to change and repair this world, every one of us. It's just that sometimes we don't know. Somebody has told us that we don't have any skill, or we don't have any ability, or we're not worth anything, and we don't believe we have a contribution to make to the world. And so discovering who we really are, and that we really are that powerful, and that we can change not only our world, but we can change the world around us. There was a time that I just thought life happened to me, like whatever, life just happens to me and I have to deal with it. And then one of my family members said, Sonya, you keep thinking that life is just happening to you. Why don't you go out and happen on life? You can make a choice. You can choose how you live. You can choose if you're a happy person. You can choose if you want to stay where you are or move to a different place. And I think that was a revelation for me. That was, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 years ago. That was a big revelation for me. Like, oh, I have a choice. Like, I don't have to stay in this socioeconomic status. I don't have to stay in this friendship or relationship that's toxic, or I don't have to put up with being treated this way, or I can choose better friends to be around, or I can be successful in my business, and I can enjoy being successful. I don't have to struggle. Some people are just taught that, oh my gosh, you have to work really hard to make it. You always have to work really, really hard to make anything successful. Well, what if you didn't? What if you could work smart and begin attracting what you want to you, instead of having to go out and try to pull it to you? What if you could just attract it to you? So that's the power of what we're talking about, is that, if we say life is hard, guess what? It can create hardness in our body. It can create arthritis. It can create hardness of the arteries. There's a whole nother book called Toxic Emotions by, I'll think of it. Anyway, it's called Toxic Emotions. It's by a doctor who's a person of faith. And he talks about all the places in scripture where it says something about a certain thought pattern creating something in the body, right? Just like the scripture that says a joyful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. Well, when we're broken spirited for too long of a period of time, what's in our bones? We have bone marrow. Bone marrow makes white blood cells and red blood cells, and it's part of our immune system. Drying up the bones could be osteoporosis. So what happens when we're down and brokenhearted for too long a period of time is that our immune system can't function. Our digestive system can't function. We begin to lose minerals. Our actual bones begin to dry up. People think, well, it's just a Bible verse. But it's actually truth. It's actually something that's really happening. So finding those places that are wounded and hurt inside of us, and getting healing for those, and getting the truth, the real truth, not the truth we were told, but the real truth to those places is vital for us to move beyond where we think we could even go. And it's those kinds of things. It's really thoughts that hold us back, not our skills, because skills can be learned by anybody. So if I can do this, anybody can do this. It's not a particular thing, right? But I had to get over thoughts, and I still have thoughts and things that come up from time to time that I've got to go, okay, what's that? What am I thinking? What am I telling myself? And is that true? You know, always before a rally, I'm very, very nervous, and I'm still working through, right? How do I bring myself back to a place of calm and, hey, it's all going to get done. It's all going to be fine, and walk that way every moment of every day. So anyway.
That's great. Anybody else have a question?
Sonya, what was the name of that website? You just said her website.
Oh, it's just called thework.com. So HEWORK, thework.com. And you'll see in her video that she actually has people fill out a sheet. It's called a Judge Your Neighbor. Sorry, we got some mods. It's called a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And then she has a worksheet for her 4 questions and her turnaround. So it's very, very powerful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
You got me here.
Yeah.
We're hanging out in my gazebo.
I loved your recruitment advice. Get back out there and be recruiting. I love that. Thank you very much. That was reading my mind. So. Okay, well, if there are no more questions, we are going to wrap it up. I want to thank you guys for your patience with me. I'm over 40. Okay, this is all new to me. I don't do this a lot. So we want to thank Sonya again for being our guest. And I don't know what's on tap for next week, but you know that Skyla always brings great people for us. We hope to see you at the rally. Please say hi to one another if you're at the rally in Des Moines. And thanks very much. Bye. Good night.
Thank you.